So Mahinder wants
Yeah.
to know, you're welcome, thank you. What all information should one cover in Kickstarter questions like tell me about yourself? So I think of the tell me about yourself like an extended elevator pitch. And for me, there's 4 questions you want to answer. It's like who you are, what do you do, what do you want to do, and then kind of like what makes you different. So the who you are is like that I am statement of this is who I am as a professional. The what you do is your relevant history. So back in the day, so I've been in this industry now for 20 years, and we first started to teach people to do this sort of tell me about yourself, where you started at your education and you worked your way forward. And you don't do that anymore. Like your people's eyes glazed over. It's like the absolute worst. Instead, it is like what you have done in your career that is relevant to this job that you want, tying it into what you want to do with this company, because that gets you bonus points. If you answer that question, why do I want to work here and why I'm the best candidate for you, without them even asking, it's like bonus. And then that differentiating factor of your reputation, or maybe it's a hobby that's very interesting. Like if you've ever climbed Everest, you better tell somebody about that, like in an interview. Or like I'm writing a novel. If I was interviewing, I would definitely be saying, I'm writing a romance novel, because it's super memorable and different. So definitely throw that in. But that's my quick way to answer that. What about yours, Yauhan?
Yeah, mine is very similar to yours, Sarah. So I take a three-step approach to answering this question. Step number one is telling them about your current situation, right? And there are two things you want to cover over here. The I am statement. So I am who you are as a professional, how many years of experience you have, and hopefully the years of experience mirrors what they have in the job posting as well. So I'm an HR professional with 5+ years of experience. If you're applying for, let's say, a HR coordinator, consultant type of a role, right? Because that's what that typically requires. And then the second statement in the current bucket is what is your areas of expertise that is relevant to the role. So, for example, if you're applying for a recruiter role, you don't want to talk about performance management, compensation benefits. You want to talk about recruitment specific competencies, right? So, end-to-end recruitment, which involves sourcing, identifying candidates, interviewing, conducting background checks, orientation sessions, right? That's relevant. So, you speak to those kind of competencies. Then you get into the past. And again, the past is not your entire resume. The past is picking out 1 to 3 accomplishments from your most recent roles that are relevant to this role. So you can say that, in my current role as an HR admin, I have done X, Y, Z, and this is the result that I achieved by doing that. And then shows to them that how is this now relevant to the HR coordinator or the HR advisor role. And then you can pick prior to that, pick another example saying, prior to that, I also did this, and this is what I achieved, right? And then you want to end up with a future kind of outlook. So for my next opportunity, I was looking at, the HR advisor role, and I've been very selective in terms of my applications. So when I saw this opportunity for HR advisor at your company, it really stood out to me because all of the skills and experience that you're looking for is something that I've done in the past and been very, very successful in doing them. And now I'm looking to transfer those skills and those qualifications into an amazing opportunity with you as well. And like Sarah said, you can always end with something personal, but personal at the same time professional, right? So whether you are listening to some podcasts related to the topic, whether you are reading or writing, in Sarah's case, writing a book on the topic, right? If you have other passions or interests, or if you are in competitions, if you're competitive with certain games, sports, you want to highlight that. So nothing personal with regards to family, friends, kids, none of that, because that could subject you to some biases, right?
Yeah,
So anything besides that, that's kind of still professional with regards to your interest and your passion.
that's great.
Yeah, the question, tell me about yourself. Essentially, remember I told you there's always a question behind a question. So the reason why they ask you, tell me about yourself, is not for you to tell them about everything you've done and everything you've achieved. I mean, they can see that on your resume. The real reason why they ask you this question is, the question behind the question is, why are you the best fit for this role?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what is the benefit of hiring you? So I'm interviewing with 10 other candidates. Why should I hire you? Why should I pick you compared to the 9 other people? What's the benefit I will get by hiring you? So you really want to be clear on only highlighting competencies that are relevant and showing instead of telling, right? So show them that these are the 2 or 3 accomplishments that directly relate, that will solve your problems. So that's how I would address that.
Yeah. It's like a classic icebreaker.
Hmm.
People really like, and I view the tell me about yourself as like that initial, like if you think back to English classes and you had to write essays, especially argumentative essays, and you had like in your first paragraph, it's like, this is what I'm going to discuss. It's kind of like that, like, this is my opening paragraph to it. Like it's
Right.
really just going
Right.
to, it's going to set the stage for all the stories I'm going to tell in answer to your questions.